Curatorial roles at the National Gallery of Victoria are really wide and diverse, which makes it a truly interesting and fascinating job, something different every day. We're responsible for the care, maintenance and presentation and interpretation of the permanent collections of the National Gallery of Victoria. So in the case of my department, International Art, we look after European and American and British painting and sculpture from 1300 to 1980. We regularly rotate works of art on display, we write the labels that accompany them, we deliver public lectures about them, we lead guided tours of the collection, etc. But we also work on acquisitions of new artworks for the collection. We work on loans for international exhibitions. We brief all aspects of the gallery about both the collections and also incoming exhibitions, so that's education, front of house, voluntary guides, corporate affairs, sponsorship, marketing, etc. So to describe a typical day is really quite hard because no day is typical. But for example, today I've been liaising with a contemporary artist who's preparing some work for our forthcoming exhibition, The Horse. I've done some loan correspondence. I've been involved in discussions about developing exhibitions for 2019 and 20 today. But it's a combination of computer work, dialogue with dozens of people among the hundreds who work here in the gallery every day, and creative thinking. Well, to work in international art, and as I said, our department looks after European, American and British painting and sculpture from 1300 to 1980. That's a fairly broad field. So the first requirement is to have a solid knowledge of, and of course a degree in art history, or 2 degrees in art history. It's also very advantageous to be able to read and speak different languages because we deal with so many different cultures. So I'm fluent in French, and I can also read Spanish and Italian, and I have a working knowledge of Latin and ancient Greek, so that sort of helps. Well, I set out to actually become a lecturer in art history. And I did a BA Honours in Fine Arts at the University of Melbourne, and then I did a PhD. And then I followed that with further study in the Prints and Drawings Department at the British Museum, and then postdoctoral work for 2 years at the Art Institute of Chicago and Northwestern University in Chicago. And then I came back to Australia and really entered curatorial life then. There are other curators who come straight into the field with a BA Honours and then hit the floor working in a practical way immediately, and so they develop on the ground. The factors involved in preparing every exhibition are completely different, depending upon the subject matter and the nature of the exhibition and the story that you want to tell. That said, what is common to preparing every exhibition is always to have an eye upon the physical experience that the viewer is going to have. How is the exhibition going to be laid out? In which order do you put the works? In which way do you display them within each room so that the visitor experience is orchestrated, both visually, emotionally and intellectually, to tell a range of stories and above all to give the visitor an almost visceral experience. You know, you can arrange 5 pictures in 100 different ways, but there's one way where they're going to look the best. And a lot of that is carefully thought about. With the Catherine the Great show, which is curated by Mikhail de Dinken, the Deputy Head of Western Art at the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, he wanted to tell a clear story about Catherine the Great herself and about her contribution to building up the foundation collections and building the actual architectural complex itself that grew to become today's vast Hermitage Palace and Museum in St. Petersburg. And he wanted first of all to present Catherine and then to present her collections and take the viewers on a journey through her developing growth as a collector and her changing tastes. When receiving major shows like this one from the Hermitage, where all the works come from either one other collection or a variety of other collections, there are many factors involved in their display. First of all, you need to consider absolutely the security and safety of the artworks to make sure that they're protected so that no one can trip, fall into them, reach out and touch them, etc. That's why we have kickboards and barrier rails. We then need to consider the interpretation of the works, so that involves the didactic panels that explain each room and the extended labels. We then need to interpret the exhibition for children, so we do children's labels as well. Lighting, of an exhibition is really important to bring the very best out of the loans that people have generously given us, and we need to present them working with exhibition design in an absolutely exquisite setting. There's no point in bringing great treasures from the other side of the world if we just put them out in something that looks like a shopping mall. So exhibition design, all the interior finishings, the wall colours, the treatments, various elements that people don't even notice, all come to play. And in fact, it's best when visitors don't notice. That's the ultimate, when everything is arranged beautifully so it just looks seamless and you're not drawn to any detail of architecture or lighting or didactics, etc. You just enjoy the experience without focusing upon any particular aspect of how we've brought it together.